Hey everybody, thank you for taking the time to visit my channel, and let's get right into it. So I have this very interesting article coming out of Slate.com, and the title just gave it off. Yes, there's a 12-foot mini obelisk right in front of the Washington Monument. I don't know if you guys know this, but this is really news, and got some news to tell you about the Washington Monument. So stay tuned through the whole entirety of this video to get some news that you never knew. But let's get right into this article. It says, unknown to most perishable, there's a 12-foot tall replica of the Washington Monument under a manhole near the actual monument, officially known as Benchmark A. This underground oddity is actually a geodetic control point that's used by surveyors. It's part of a network of million control points across the country that help the National Geodetic Survey, or NGS for short, synchronizing all of the government's maps, and that's important. According to the NGS Modernization Manager, Drew Smith, geodetic control points approve starting points for any map or measurement. It has to be more accurate than any measurement you do on top of it, so it picked these things to be extremely stable. Usually that means the metal caps or rods that are driven down into the ground, but this quirky central point mirrors the form of its next door neighbors. But where it gets interesting, the mini monument was placed in the 1880s as a part of a transcontinental leveling program. The ground level here, which was lower at the time, with a large parts of the Washington Monument Foundation still visible above ground, as you see in this photo here. The mini monument was above ground for a time before being encased in a brick chimney and buried outside of surveying circles. It has been largely forgot. The survey marker is underneath a manhole just south of the Washington Monument. So that's crazy, finding out about this 12-foot mini obelisk just right in front of the other one. But what's really interesting, I think most people don't take for instance, or they don't really look up, is the meaning of the obelisk. I mean, if you do know, you know that it is a part of it's an Egyptian obelisk streaming from Egypt. So just wanted to point that out, that this is pagan stuff that's right there, right there, in front of everybody to see. And what's interesting is the real back history of the obelisk, and when it comes to the Egyptian deity Osiris. Because to let you know, that Washington Monument right there, that's standing right there for all of us to see in Washington D.C., that's actually a representation of a phallus. And yes, you heard me right, a phallus. And I'll explain the story now so you guys will get the gist. So if you study Egyptian mythology, you know about Osiris, who was a vegetation deity, and you know about Set. He was the dog-looking, jackal-looking deity, and they were actually brothers. So the story goes is Set, his own brother, and 72 conspirators, remember that number 72, actually got up a plan to kill Osiris, and they actually succeeded. And what they did was they cut him up into 14 pieces, and he was scattered. So his wife, Isis slash sister, Isis, goes searching for him, but she can only find 13 of the pieces. And guess what the 14th piece was that she wasn't able to find? Yes, the phallus, of course. So you could see how this is understanding mythology when it comes to Egyptian, that it's interesting that they would have this monument erected right there by the water. I mean, not knowing, most people don't know, but they had to know. I mean, this is just history, people, you know. But other than that, there was another reason for the obelisk, well, the phallus being kind of close to the water. And what's interesting is there's actually a public ceremony, I want to say, that actually takes place in Egypt. And I'll tell you about the ceremony here. According to legend, the Egyptian god Autumn created the universe after ejaculation from masturbation. The flow of the Nile was said to be connected to the number of times the god ejaculated. Due to this, the pharaohs of ancient Egypt were required to ceremonially masturbate into the Nile, and this became a ritual for the pharaoh as he expected to recreate Atum's gift to the universe every year in order to nourish the Nile. So during the feast of Nim each year, the pharaoh, alongside the general public, would head to the shores of the Nile and perform the holy rite. Upon getting to the shore of the Nile, the pharaoh would remove his clothes and masturbate and ensure that his semen fell into the Nile. The other men would do the same. They believed that the semen would enable the Nile to give them more blessings and a plentiful harvest. So you can see why the phallus slash obelisk slash monument, you guys get what I'm saying, is actually close to a body of water, as you're seeing here. It's just too much syncretism. And you may be thinking, okay, past, present, and future, yeah, I mean, maybe that could be it. But actually, the design for all this was Thomas Jefferson. And as I'll show you here, he actually commemorates this, and this was designed, ladies and gentlemen, as with other monuments and structures in Washington, D.C., as I'll show you here. And to show you all, like I said, it's on your local government. It's actually in the Library of Congress, ladies and gentlemen. You can all look this up. It was called The Perfect Plan by Thomas Jefferson. You heard it here. Temple of Liberty, building the capital for a new nation. Thomas Jefferson decided that the capital's design should be chosen by a public competition. Yes, he kind of made this into a competition, but let me just show you here real quick. The publishing guidelines stipulated matters of fact, size and number of rooms and materials, not issues of taste such as styles, architecture, historical, social, or symbolic meaning. Symbolic meaning. So, and if you just go straight down here, I just had to show you the symbolic meaning. Because we all, like I explained to you, that obelisk has another meaning to it. It says here, the Roman Pantheon. The circular domed rotunda dedicated to all pagan gods. To all pagan gods was suggested by Jefferson. Who later shepherded through several transformations. Not one, two, or three people. Several transformations. So this is why it gives more validation to what I'm saying about that obelisk that's right there in front of the statue that's sitting right there in Washington, D.C. It's a pagan symbol. So, like I said, Library of Congress, people, I can't make this up. So as I said, if you just do like some digging, some research, you'd be able to find all this. So, but another thing I did want to point out, and it has to do with the story I just told you about Osiris, and that she had only 13 pieces, and she brought it together to bring into this new form, you would say, second coming. I just think it's interesting that we had the 13 colonies that came together also and unified each other to make something new again. So it's just interesting how these numerology plays a role also with all this. So anywho, I wanted to bring this to you guys' attention. Did you guys know any of this? Is this news to you? And I hope this makes you research more into ancient Egypt or even to ancient Rome, and also to the Greeks also, because as I just showed you that there, all this structures were actually honored to all these pagan gods. So, but yeah, so I'm actually working on a new project now that you guys should stay close to. It actually deals with actually old cults, and just to bring it out there, I'll be doing Demeter and Persephone. And if you guys know, then you know. So it's in the works, so stay tuned. But yeah, as of course I'll leave all this in a link for you guys to look. But this is interesting. Did you guys know all about the symbolism when it came to the obelisk? And actually that Thomas Jefferson was the, let's say, the go-getter when it came to decorating and designing all of these pagan gods and all this infrastructure that's in the Washington area. Just makes you think where their mindset was at that time and what grander scheme is going on. But like I said, I'll be touching more about this on my video. So anyway, thank you guys for taking the time to watch my video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.